Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. I think we're a little bit late this morning because we've had trouble with Restream. we can't actually, we couldn't actually get in. But I can see that the chat room is up, which I normally can't see. So things have changed there. Before we begin, first of all, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Grey Eagle, who is standing just to my right side. And I'd like to say good morning to Chris. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Rosemary. Well, that took a little bit of patience this morning, didn't it?
Just a little bit, but we have patience. We just hope that everybody out there who has perhaps been waiting to come on and wondering where are they, well, we couldn't get in. I do believe that probably we were sent the wrong link, and now we've got the new link, and it took us right in there. So how about that? So, Chris, how have you been?
Oh, keeping busy, Rosemary. So I see you're still in New York. Is Florida in your realm of possibilities soon?
I'm booking my flight today. Well, as soon as we finish the show, I'm going to go into the airlines and I'm going to see if I can book my flight. So hopefully by the weekend, I shall be home in Florida in the warm. It's getting very cold here now, and it's supposed to snow today. So I've got to get out before I've got to get out before it gets too cold. But as as everybody knows, when you go to visit, and of course I have a wonderful time here with my daughter and with my grandson. But I've not been here quite a month yet, but it's coming in the next 2 or 3 days. It will be exactly a month since I've been here in New York, and I'm sure that my daughter just really wants me to go home. My grandson would like me to live here forever and ever. I've got no problems there. but as with everything else, there's a time to come, there's a time to go home, there's a time to leave, and it's time for me to leave. It's been a bit of a rough vacation in a few ways. I was sick for about, I don't know, 10 days, 2 weeks. I've still got this dratted cough, but it's getting better. It's just when I talk a lot, so I'm probably better shut up, Chris. How about that? Maybe I should just shut
well,
up and not talk.
well, that means people are going to have to start sending in questions.
Yeah, so come on, everybody, help me out here. Don't make me talk too much this morning. And of course, my grandson would like me to stay here forever. He keeps telling me how sad he's going to be when I leave. And of course, I shall be sad when I leave, because I love it when he comes in the mornings and I get a cuddle in the mornings. And when he goes off to school, he always comes in to say bye bye to me before he leaves. We just have the best time. I was babysitting yesterday, and that nighttime story when I'll just do one more chapter. So we do one more chapter of a book that we're reading. Uh, we've always felt with Reese that it's been very, very important. So we would read him stories and show him picture books and encourage him to, let's say, value books, to be careful with them, to not tear them, to make sure you put them back in the right place, never to bend the pages. I can feel you. I can feel those of you who do it. As a writer, the idea of somebody sort of holding their place by bending the corner over, tut, 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 tut. But so so Reese has a very healthy respect for books. So we always are reading and doing that sort of thing. And of course, I'm also helping him to learn his new piece of music. He went for his music lesson this week, and his music teacher said, "Has somebody been helping you with this?" So it's good to see that I'm doing a little bit of good while I'm here and enjoying myself at the same time. Uh, but as with all good things, they come to an end. But the good news is, then it's February, and then it's his birthday, and then hopefully he'll be coming to Florida. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. All right, Chris, I am done talking. Who have we got? Any comments? Anybody want to say anything? Any questions? Do you want to say anything?
Well, we have our friends on. Looks like Gianluca and who else was from Italy? I saw a couple of people here from Italy. Um, Angela and Janet's on. She's wondering if you can help with finding a job.
Oh, not really. I'm not good at that. If you'd have said, "Can you help me with finding my cat or my dog?" I might have been able to do something. But the only thing I'd suggest for you is to just, no matter how many times, no matter how many places you apply, if you really want a job, just keep applying and don't get despondent when they keep coming back. Sorry, no, 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 for whatever reason you're not qualified or that job's already been taken. Even if you apply 10 times every single day, and I know it could be, you can be very disappointed, you can get very depressed, you can get quite despondent, but it really is the only way to find a job. So if you keep going, I promise, if you really, really work hard at doing it, you'll get a few, "Oh yes, would you like to come for an interview?" And you'll find that it'll be worth it at the end of the day. Chris.
Well, Annika says that you in the past have mentioned Brian Weiss's book and how you feel about that topic of reincarnation.
Right.
Since then, he has written 5 more books, which she has and has read. Very fascinating. Have you changed your views about reincarnation?
Um, well, let me let me just reiterate my views, which have always been the same about reincarnation. I do believe that some people do choose to come back and do it all over again. I do believe that there are people who choose to come back to, let's say, the things that they are familiar with, the things that they are comfortable with. And this earth of ours, this world of ours, is something perhaps that people, want to learn more about. So there are people who choose to come back and do this again. But I do not believe for 1 second, and this is perhaps where my views have not changed. When people talk about reincarnation, they talk about, they come here, they live their life, they die, off they go up there or wherever there is. And then, after a little while, maybe a day or two, some religions believe that it's an immediate reincarnation. Some people think you have to wait for a while or make a decision as to what you want to do or what you want to do next. And then they come back and then they live their life and then off they go and then they come back. And it's like, well, I've lived 5 lives. Well, I've actually lived 7 lives, and people get a little bit, well, I've lived 10 lives. And I do not believe that it is that simple or that easy. I think it's much more complex, much more interesting, and much more fascinating than that. So, and I also believe, and I've had this conversation with Brian Weiss in the past, that very, very often when he is sort of, let's say, putting someone under in a trance state, in a state of sort of knocking them out a little bit, and they have this experience. Yes, it might be their past experience, but it's possible that there is someone else in the spirit world who sees an empty vessel, as in his patient, who sees the empty vessel and thinks, "Oh, let's have a bit of fun here." And they can easily pop in and recount their story, and this is who I was in this life, and this is what I did, and so on and so forth. So there's no guarantee when you are okay, let's say there are 3 things that happen when you go into a state of, whether it's self-induced, whether it's in a spiritual and mediumistic way, or whether you'll go to someone like Brian Weiss who sort of puts you under this hypnotic state. Okay, so when you're in that state, for whatever reason, however you got into that state, there are basically 3 things that can happen. The first is that it can be a real experience from a previous life that person has had. Second is, it could actually be someone else in the spirit world thinking, "Oh, empty vessel," as I just said. having that experience. Let's not forget, though, the most potent and often the most likely possibility, and you won't like me for saying this, but we cannot discount it. It could be our own subconscious relaying something that, you know, to us is maybe a little bit romantic, or a little bit, this is, you know, your imagination takes over. You know that you're going for this hypnotherapy. If I had a previous life, I'd like to be, you know, so often when we do this, our previous life might be that the Lord of the Manor, we were the maid. The Lord of the Manor did what he shouldn't have done, got us pregnant, and we were kicked out of the house and lived in the poorhouse, and on and on and on it goes. There are so many scenarios that people come up with. I've never yet heard the scenario of, well, I was an ordinary person, you know, I lived in a rented property and had 6 kids, and my husband and I were really happy. I've never heard that scenario. I've never heard of an ordinary life being relayed. And we know there are however many million people there are on this planet. Most people live an ordinary life. They just live ordinary. Not there's anything wrong with that. Ordinary, very often happy, sometimes unhappy, but ordinary lives where nothing happens at all. But if you go for hypnotherapy, I can guarantee you'll come out with a fantastic, oh, you know, guess what I was in a previous life. And I had a guy in Hong Kong come to talk to me, come for a consultation, and he was absolutely convinced, I think I might have told this story before, he was absolutely convinced that he'd had, oh, goodness knows how many lives, but in one of those lives, he was a centurion, and he was in battle, and he was on the field, and he fell on the field, and all of these other soldiers sort of walked all over him, continuing the battle. And so he was, let's say he was crushed under the feet of all these other soldiers, centurions, whoever they were. And this, apparently, according to him, he's telling me all of this, was apparently why, for every single life that he's lived since then, he's had severe back problems. Okay, then. I mean, is it me? Is it really me? Or maybe I'm not being fair, whatever it is. But I look at this guy, he's 6 foot something, 3 or 4 inches tall. He's very sort of long and skinny and willowy looking. His shoulders are bent, stooped. Unfortunately, he's so tall, he does have to duck to go into the doorways. But his posture is so bad. So when I say to him, I think that if you work on your posture and you went to see somebody, you know, to sort of to learn how to sit, to learn how to walk, to correct the posture, I think you'd find that you didn't have back issues anymore. So I know that people don't like it when I say these things, because I'm just a regular person looking at things in what I consider to be a sensible way. Before we start believing in all of the woo-woo stuff, as I call it, before we start believing in that, could we just at least apply a modicum of common sense to the situations that you find yourselves in? It's great to be able to say, oh, well, I have back trouble because I was a Roman centurion and I got crushed under the feet of other centurions during a battle. I mean, isn't that fantastic? You never ever have to correct anything then, do you? You never have to say, well, I guess it's my fault and I could correct it, or I could do something about this. You can always blame someone else or another situation. I've had people who've talked about their past lives, and this is why they're miserable in this life, because they never resolved that issue that they had in the previous life. And I find it irritating. I find it irritating sometimes because I just want to shake people and say, you have this life. You are given this life. This is an amazing gift that you've been given. If you're going to just sit and complain and moan that the reason things aren't working out for you is because, 2 or 3 lives ago something happened to you and therefore you'll never be happy again, and it's all about karma and I have to pay for my sins and blah, 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 I want to shake you and say, now come on, come on, come on, come on. There are so many things we can do to make our lives more positive, more healthy. There are so many things that we can do to bring humor and love and life into our perhaps otherwise boring and ordinary lives. There are so many things that we can do. So my view on, I feel as if I'm going on here. My view on reincarnation is that I'm pretty sure that there are people who choose when they leave this earth to come back and do this all over again. I'm also pretty sure, unless I'm given good reasons to determine otherwise, I'm pretty sure that when it's my turn, I'm going to choose not to come back here. I'm going to choose to investigate, to travel. I guess it's a little bit like, the people who go back to the same vacation place year after year, 25 years later, they say, oh, we've been coming here for 25 years. They're comfortable with it. They know it, they love it. I don't think that's me. So anyway, what I'm going to say is there are more choices than this earth plane for us to continue our lives. Sorry, Chris, have I gone on? Am,
No, I think you've fully covered what they've asked you to
am
do.
I boring everybody? Are people disappointed in me because I'm not saying, oh, I bet the reason that this happened to you is because, you were treated badly in a previous life. Well, if you were treated badly in a previous life, get over it, learn from it. Every little piece of pain that we have in this life is given to us as a gift. It's not a gift we want, but it is a gift just the same. It really is a gift. My parents taught me how not to be. How many people in your life, look back on your lives, did your parents teach you how to be? Did they teach you, or should you have learned from them how not to be? I mean, and you make choices from the age of, well, even Reese is 8 years old. He'll be 9 in February, but he makes choices. He absolutely makes choices. Children, all of us, we make choices. And we make choices to be happy. We make choices to be complaining. We make choices to moan and grumble, or we make choices to just get on with it. All of us, at every stage in our lives, we make choices. We try, as we get older, as we grow older, we try to make the best choices. The choices that are going to make us happy, and also they're going to, if we're happy, we can make those around us even happier still.
All right. Andrew has a question. I've been told.
Are you pushing me in another direction now? Go for it, Chris.
Well, we do have many people in your chat room, so we want to give
Go,
them a chance.
go, go, go.
Andrew says, I've been told spirits will take the form that we knew them as. What do they see us as? As bodies that age, or the spirit of us, no matter the age?
Oh, I love this question. Who is this question
This
from?
is Andrew.
Andrew, I love this question, Andrew. I think they see both things because they can, those in the spirit world, they can see us very, very clearly. Often if I unfortunately put my back out yesterday, so I'm sort of nursing it today, and I'm absolutely certain that my loved ones in the spirit world can see me hobbling around and are having a bit of a chuckle, because well, what can you do but laugh about it? But when they see our physical selves, they can see us aging, they can see us having, whatever troubles we're having, bad knees or bad backs or whatever it is that's going on. But they also are very, very able to see our soul, our energy field shines out. Reese, my grandson, has been taken to asking me every morning, what colour's my aura today, Mosey? He's quite intrigued with the idea of energy, and our spirit, our soul emanates, that energy emanates from our soul, emanates from us. So who we are and what we are on a spiritual level absolutely shines out. And so they not only will see us aging in a physical way, but they're also able to see our spirit. They are able to see our soul. The spirit is simply the energy field that surrounds the soul, and energy emanates from our soul, and if it's good energy, if it's positive energy, it will shine out in the most bright and beautiful way, and they'll see it with no problem. If, however, our soul needs feeding, if it's a little dry, and if it's a little lacking energy, or if it's a little lacking in inspiration, they'll see that too. So yeah, they see all of us.
I am responded to your question about are people bored of you? And they said, never bored by you, lovely Rosemary.
Okay.
Angela, who I believe is from Italy, so not English as a first language, is asking, do you have any message from her mother and father?
I don't at this moment in time. And the reason I am not even looking right now is that I have to I have to make sure that my energy is good. We talked about energy a minute ago, and I have to make sure that my aura is good and that my energy is good. So I am trying today not to expend the energy that it requires to connect in that way with people, for people to give messages and so on. However, having said this, and we say this all the time, right, Chris? We do have, once every 6 weeks or so, we do have a webinar where we spend 3 hours, at least, if not longer, giving messages to the people who have joined our webinar. And it's an amazing experience. So if you do want a message, and if for whatever reason you don't want a consultation, or you can't afford a consultation, or whatever that reason is, our webinars are the next best place to go, because not that everybody who joins the webinar gets a message personally, but everybody gets a message of some kind or another.
All right. So, Andrew had a follow-on question.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Actually, he's got a number of questions, but he said his wife passed this past October, October 20th, and he has since met with a medium. And the message that came through was not only, it could only have been her scar over the right eye. They also said that she would come through on March 11th of 2022, but that date means nothing to Andrew.
Okay.
So I'm assuming the question is, can you confirm or deny the information he's been given? And I'm just going to turn that over to you.
Thank you. No, I can't confirm it, Andrew. If you have been to see a medium and you were satisfied with that medium, and you were satisfied with the information that she gave to you, I think then, if you're happy with that person and you feel that that person is real, then perhaps you should wait to see whether something comes to pass on that particular date. I'm not quite sure why she would give you that date, because I would tend to say to you, you need to look for your wife every day. She'll be around you every day, and her trying her best, I'm sure, to give you or to send you little messages or signs or symbols of some kind or another on a daily basis. So I don't know what she means by that, and I'm not her, so I can't get into her head. So I can't necessarily confirm that. But if you were happy with the information that she gave to you, and you're sure that she's real, this medium, you're sure that she's, that she did have a connection, a real connection to your wife, then all you can do is just be patient and wait. In the meantime, I would say keep checking, keep looking, keep being aware that your wife is around you, I know, and wanting to just let you know that she's okay.
All right. Annika says, asking, do our loved ones in spirit know when we will join them on the other side?
Oh, yes. Without a doubt. How many times, oh my goodness, how many times have I heard someone in the spirit world say, okay, we're waiting, and they'll often plan a party, they'll often plan for all of the family to get together, they'll plan for friends and family to get together, so that when we do pass into the spirit world, uh, there's a whole crowd of people waiting. So yes, they know before we do. So often, they know, so often before we do. If we're going out to lunch with a friend, or if we're going to see somebody like me, when people come to me for consultations, um, it's interesting because their family very often is they're ready and waiting. I don't have to call them or shout, "Hey, is anybody there?" Like they're there, they're ready, they're waiting. Gregor has gathered them all together, so they already know, uh, you know, beforehand. Let's go talk to so and so. Let's go see that woman. That's me. Let's go see that woman and see if she can give our messages to our loved ones. So that's how it works out. Yes, Chris.
Teresa said, you had a tape with Give the Gift of Healing. Where can I get a copy?
Oh, you can find it actually. It is now. Wait a minute. Can you find Give the Gift of Healing? I don't think we can we, Chris?
I've seen it on odd places if you do a Google search, but you don't have that one in your office. It's now A Journey Toward Healing, correct?
Um, mm, y- yes. Look, that's what you need to do. Look for the Give the Gift of Healing came with a little booklet, and the booklet was great because it talks about different or helps you learn all about different things. We maybe should reproduce that again. But in the meantime, what you need to do is I think you can find them on Spotify, or something, get a Google or Amazon or something. There are 5 CDs. Well, you can get, if you email the office, we can tell you where to get those from, or we can send them to you. They are, first of all, A Journey Towards Healing. I'm not necessarily giving you them in the correct order of when we did them, but A Journey Towards Healing is the first, and I made that for my patient Wendy, and then we recorded that. So there's Journey Towards Healing. There is A Garden of Souls, uh, not perfect, but yet still beautiful. The fourth one, I can't remember. And A Conversation with Bob, which is an amazing. It's a conversation I had with a patient of mine, Bob, who was dying. He had a brain tumor, and he came with me to the studio, and we did. And as we're driving to the studio, actually, Bob said to me, he said, "You didn't give me, Rosemary. You didn't give me a script. I don't have a script. What are we supposed to be doing?" And I looked at him and I said, "Bob, we don't need a script. I'll ask you questions. You answer them. I promise it will work out perfectly." And of course, it did. And that particular CD has been used in hospitals, it's been used in hospices. It's a fantastic a fantastic conversation. My daughter, actually, who hates to hear me do these things, she says it doesn't sound like me, but we were listening to it on the way to New York one day, driving, and I said to her, I'm sorry, but I have to listen to this because we were in the editing stage and I needed to listen to it to see if there was anything I needed to change. And at the end of it, amazingly, because she never listens, she hates when I'm doing my meditations for people. She's, as I said, she says it's not like me. But what she said to me was, wow, Mum, that was like the best NPR interview ever. So, so it's called A Conversation with Bob. And it's an amazing thing if you know someone who is dying, for instance, or if you yourself have, been given a timeline, or you just are interested in listening to somebody and listening from their perspective. Bob has some great ideas for people, to do. This is what you need to do for your family. When you know that you're going, I did this, this, and this for my wife. And he talks about the different things that he did and the different approaches that he had to things. And it is really a fascinating, fascinating interview with my wonderful Bob. Bob the builder. He was a builder, and I don't know if he's still building. I can hear somebody chuckling behind me, so maybe that's Bob chuckling behind me, knowing apparently that I was going to be talking about him. But so there are four meditations that you can find. If you cannot find them, just email the office. I would go through Chris, K-R-I-S, Chris at rosemaryaltea.com, or if you forget, just email Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. Chris answers all the emails, and if you can't find it, we can either send you one or we can tell you where to get them. Chris.
All right. Grace says, my aunt passed last week. She had several severe disabilities. She was nonverbal, blind, seizure disorder. Is she connecting with us differently now that she has passed? And how should we look out for her?
Well, I have Gradle's hand on my shoulder here, and so I feel, Grace, I feel that this is a really important question that you've asked, because there are so many people who are disabled. There are so many children who are disabled who can't verbalize, can't walk, can't talk, can't run, etc. In the in the Eagle and the Rose, which is my first book. We're still celebrating the 25th anniversary of that book, and it's still just as readable now as it was when I first wrote it. There's a story of David, and I think, if you have the book, it's the second to last story in the book. It's one of my favorites, and I love David. But David was born with severe cerebral palsy, and so he could never talk, never walk, so on and so forth. But it's very different, and you'll see if you read that story. I'm absolutely certain that I think it was your aunt that you were talking about. I'm absolutely certain that she will be able to communicate just as well as anybody else. She will be able to talk, she'll be able to walk, she'll be able to run, apparently, according to Grey Eagle. She is well and she is healthy. So when you're trying to communicate with her, you don't need to do anything special or to listen in any particular or special way. Just reach out to her and then pay attention and listen and look and watch. If you give her the opportunity, she'll come through. And Grey Eagle tells me she'll come through like Chatty Cathy. So I don't know if you know who Chatty Cathy is. I think it was a doll at one point, a doll that talked. She's ready to talk. She's waiting to talk. And believe you me, with all of her family and all of her friends in the spirit world, she'll have been talking up a storm anyway. She will be well and she'll be healthy. And I'm really glad that you asked that question of me, because it's a question that so many people have. They have that question in their mind. They've had someone who was not able to communicate properly, not able to live perhaps a normal life in a physical sense. And it's good for us to know. Read the story of David, you'll love it. Chris.
I'm thinking, Rosemary, because you said reach out to them. People have had this question on different shows. How does a person reach out to them? Do they speak the words out loud? Do they think the words in their head? Do they sit in meditation? How do they reach out to them?
In any way you can. My advice to everybody here is just find a time in the day. I would suggest that you make it the same time every day. Now, it's a little bit like people who want to meditate, and there's always a reason why they can't do it, or they didn't do it, or something, or life took over, and so on and so forth. But if you take 10 minutes of every day and you find a quiet spot where nobody can interrupt you, so we're looking for 10 minutes in the day. Don't tell me you can't find 10 minutes in the day, because I know you can. And if it's important for you to find those 10 minutes, you'll find them. So you take 10 minutes, you find a quiet spot, you sit in a nice comfortable chair, and you say to your loved ones in the spirit world, you can say to all of them collectively, or if you want to particularly hear from one person, you can say who that person is, and you can call out to them. But here's the thing. What you're saying to them is, okay, this is my time to spend with you. I'd love you to come and spend time with me. I understand if you're busy, that's okay. But I'm going to sit here for the next 10 minutes, and I'm hoping you're going to visit, and I'm going to try my very best to make myself more aware, more in tune, more aware of what is going on around me. If you're connecting with them because you want something from them, well, just let me know you're okay, or can you just give me a sign? You're not going to get very far. What you have to do is you have to just say, I'm here for you. If you want to be here for me, I'd love it. But you don't have to do anything if you don't want to. I'm here for you. And then just shut up and pay attention and listen. And sometimes people will see maybe a flash or something out of the corner of their eye. They may see a bright light. Sometimes you might feel someone just touching your hair. In the beginning, when you do this, it's those little things, it's those small things that we tend to dismiss. But if we're paying attention and we do this on a regular basis, at some point, it may take you a week, it may take you a month, it may take you a year. At some point, you will hear from your loved ones in the spirit world, but it has to be consistent. Chris.
Judith says, I like the way you discuss spiritual and daily matters. It makes me think about beliefs I've held. I reevaluate what I have thought to be true or wondered aloud.
Right, good. Well, good. I'm laughing at that because every day in every way, our loved ones in the spirit world can come around us. I was making shortbread with Reese the other day, and we made the shortbread, and then we were going to decorate. Now, normally we would cover our shortbread with chocolate because that's the way we like it. But Christmas was upon us, and Reese wanted to make some what he considered to be Christmas cookies. So we made the icing with the powdered sugar and the lemon juice and so on and so forth, as you do. And then I have a set of paintbrushes, very fine paintbrushes, that I use in my baking. I know it's a weird thing, but I've always done it since my daughter was a little girl. So we got the paintbrushes and some food colouring, some good food colouring, and we painted all sorts of things on our icing. So I iced the cookies, I iced the shortbread, and then Reese painted the shortbread, and we got some spectacular looking shortbreads. Halfway through this, and he's painting away, and we cut out some hearts and snowflakes and a Christmas tree, all sorts of different shapes we cut out. And as he's painting one of the hearts, he's sort of looking at me, and he says, Mosey, I think I can feel Piper standing behind me. Do you think she's here? Now, Piper is Reese's puppy, who died a couple of years ago. And so I said to him, because I try to be really honest about what I'm saying in this area with him. I said, well, I don't see her, darling, because I didn't. I don't see her. But if you feel her there, the possibility is very strong that she is there. And then his eyes opened wide, and you could see that he was seeing or feeling something. And he said, no, I think she's definitely here. And I said, well, that's great. I bet she's watching us decorating these shortbreads. And we just carried on. And a bit later on, he said to me, I think she's gone now, Mosey. And I said, well, that's great. So he knows that people in the spirit world and his animals, they come, they go, they visit us, they stay, might stay for a minute, or they might stay for longer. But they are with us, and they can pop in on us at any time, and we just have to be sensitive to when they come around us. Chris.
It sounds to me like Piper was waiting for something to drop to take a little nibble.
Yeah. Yes, that would be her.
All right, Julie's comment, and I think this went back to when you were talking about the webinar, is how very true, Rosemary. Everyone does get a message, even if it's just a feeling of peace and love that you share with us all. Thank you for that grace and love. We feel it profoundly.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you for that.
All right. Then we have Joe
Hi,
saying,
Joe.
Hi, Rosemary. When I meditate at night, I see people who may be my guides, but I never see anyone when I meditate in the morning.
Oh,
Is there any reason for this?
well, it depends why. Why? It depends on why you are meditating. Are you meditating in order to make a connection with people in the spirit world, or are you meditating in order to make a connection with your soul? So it depends a lot on why you're meditating, and it depends on what you mean by meditating. Because there are various ways of meditation, and there are various things that we can and can't do. Perhaps it's that you're just simply, having sort of gone through your day, perhaps it's simply that you're much more in tune with your loved ones in the spirit world. Maybe you've been thinking more about them, or maybe that, there have been memories or reminders going on through the day. But it depends on the reason for your meditation. So, Chris.
Andrew's asking, we formulate opinions, beliefs, and grudges here on this earthly life. How does that change when we pass? My wife lost touch, and let's put it straight, brushed off an old friend.
Oh,
My wife's cremation is February 14th, and I told that friend she can come to the cremation. Do you think my late wife would be okay with that?
I'm pretty certain the answer to that would be an absolute yes, Joe. I think, you're right. We do formulate opinions, and we are often, even the best of us, we're often judge and jury about certain things, even when we don't know the full story, when we don't know the background of a thing, we can be judge and jury. I always say that nobody knows what happens when the door closes behind someone and they're in their private environment. Nobody knows what goes on behind closed doors, so it's impossible for us to judge. I feel that I'm hoping, and I'm going to put that out there, and Gregor, I know, is going to put that out there for your wife to understand. But I feel that she probably already understands what a silly and what a petty, apparently, what a very petty situation it was, and it's a shame because uh, two people lost their friendships, right? So as human beings, can we sort of, if we're feeling inclined to hold a grudge, can we not do it? Can you just let it go, give the benefit of the doubt? I always try to emphasize this for people. Stop being judge and jury. You don't know no matter no matter what the situation is, you don't know the full extent of a story. You don't know why someone said or did something. You don't know what kind of mood they're in. You don't know what's happening in their lives to create, maybe a bad mood, or maybe a mean word or a cruel word. You don't know what happened to that person in order to, for them to react and behave in a certain way. So if we could, I think this is a moment of let go and let God. Let's give the benefit of the doubt, can we? And let's just, I always think the best friendships and the greatest friendships are the friendships where you know that the person that you are friendly with, that they've got issues and problems, and you're just grateful because you've got issues and problems as well, and you're grateful that they accept yours, and the best you can do is to accept theirs. So friendships despite the you know the warts and all, friendships despite the things that aren't quite 100% right, and I think that's what we all should strive for. But I think what a wonderful thing that you invited this lady to your cremation, and I'm pretty sure that you know uh, things will be fine. I'm pretty sure your wife will be very pleased that you did that. Be the bigger person. Great, good job, Chris.
I can remember years ago, my dad had grown up to be a very prejudiced man for whatever reasons he heard stories of. And I had asked you early on, what does he think of that now? And he very clearly and succinctly gave you the message saying, simply, I was wrong. I know we've had conversations, you and I have had conversations this past week with regards to people who, let's say, are coming out in the LBGQ, all those letters. I'm sorry, I don't mean to not have them
They're
correctly in my.
coming out in the gay community. Let's say that they're
Yes.
coming out as who they want to be. Whereas, when I was young, nobody admitted to being gay because you might, you would be ostracized for it. But more and more people are coming out, and more people are being brave enough to say who they are, what they're thinking. And I think it's up to all of us to encourage. It's not for us to judge. So let's not judge, can we? Was that what you were thinking of, Chris? That's what you were.
Yeah, because it's along a similar venue of holding grudges, except it goes past that. It goes to biases, it goes to beliefs, it goes to conditioning that families, individuals, and people have taught us from an early age. And then we have the opportunity to suddenly retake a look and reevaluate a look of what we once thought and hopefully grow from it and move on. And I think that's a very similar issue. We talked about this one of our last shows, that life happens for us, not to us. And
Right.
so every time we have a challenge, instead of thinking, oh, this is terrible, and go down that whole line of things, we can think, what can I learn from this? What's the
Life
gift in
life
this?
happens for us and not to us. And I think, if you can get that in your head, you can be a happier person for it. And I think there's so much prejudice in the world, so much narrow mindedness, so much bigoted and disgraceful behavior. Um, you cannot judge. We are not judge and jury of other people's lives. God help us if we were, because we'd get it wrong again and again and again, because we do not know the whole story of somebody else's issues. We do not know what happens behind closed door. We do not know what's in a person's mind. We do not necessarily know what's in a person's heart. We do not know. Reese said something to me last night. I put him to bed, and I was telling him. he's reading a book, and this book is a book that is unfolding. The story is unfolding during World War II. So there's bombing raids, bombing shelters, and it sounds like it's a heavy book for a kid, but she's actually it is a kid's book, and it's quite a good book too. And I was telling Reese, I said, I'll tell you a story, a true story about an air raid shelter. And I told him the story of a young man who was traveling, and I think he was in Israel, and he was in a war zone somewhere, and he ended up having to go into a shelter for 4 days, into an air raid shelter for 4 days with other total strangers. The majority of them spoke English, or at least some English. But can you imagine 4 days you're stuck with strangers, and you're in a strange place, and it's terrifying. You can hear bombs flying overhead. And this guy, at some point, he was backpacking around the you know um, the world at the time, and he pulled out of his backpack. He said, "Well, I've got a book. Why don't why don't I read this book?" And everybody thought that was a great idea. And he started reading the book, and then somebody else carried on reading. Somebody else carried on reading the book, and then they'd stop and they'd have discussions about the book, and then carry on reading the book again. And after they'd finished the book, they started it and they read it again and had discussions and so on. And it basically saved people's sanity for 4 days in a row until they were able to come out of the air raid shelter. But what it also did, it brought people together. It brought them into discussion. It brought them into a curiosity and a fascination, about the things that were spoken of in the book. And that young man wrote to the author afterwards and explained what had happened in this air raid shelter, and said to the author, "Thank you so much, because you really saved our sanity, but you did more than that. You brought us together and you inspired us so much." And so instead of being fearful in the air raid shelters, they were fascinated. And you do realize now that I'm talking about my book, The Eagle and the Rose, which is what this young man read to everybody. And so, you never know the influences that we have. So I was telling Reese about this, and he thought that was fascinating. So I'm tucking him into bed. And he said to me, Mosey, he said, when, when people look at you, you're just normal. And I said, "Yes, darling, I am. I'm just normal." He said, "No, but what I mean is that people see you just as an ordinary person." And I said, "Yes, darling, they do." But he said, "But you're not, are you?" And I said, "No, I'm not." But I said, Reese, it's not just that people see me as an ordinary person. When we look at other people, we see people on the street, see people shopping or in the supermarket. We don't know who they really are because we can't see inside of them. Just like people can't see inside of me, and people don't know what I do, we can't see how special other people are either. So we always have to remember, you never know, when you are looking at an angel. If you are walking in the supermarket and there's an angel walking alongside you, you never know, because they just look so ordinary. And he thought that was fascinating, and I think it's fascinating. So before we start judging and pointing the finger at other people's behaviour, can I just say, you never know, they could be an angel. Chris?
We're right at time, Rosemary. I can give
Oh,
one last comment.
okay.
Sanders asking, how is the new book coming along? I'm pretty sure I remember you saying you were working on a new one.
Yes, you're right. Well, slowly, but it's coming. I'm ashamed to tell you that it's I'm the one who's for some reason or another holding out on this book. I've no idea why, because it's mostly written, and so I'm going to make an effort this year. I won't say it's a New Year's resolution, but I'm going to make an effort to see if we can't get it up and running and out there. we'll let you know as soon as it comes. Okay, Chris, is that it? Are we done?
That's it.
Well, thank you again, everybody. We've had some great questions today and some great comments today. So thank you, all of you for joining us. We love it when you join in. So we should be back on Saturday morning, unless I'm on a plane. We should be back on Saturday morning, excuse me, for story time. If we're on a plane, we'll let you know. What else? Yes, we'll be back for story time, and then next week I shall be home in Florida, and then Chris and I are going to get down to organising some stuff together, right, Chris?
Absolutely.
We're going to really sort of put our heart and soul into all of what it is we need to do for you all. So keep watching. Go to my website, rosemaryaltea.com, see what's going on. Don't give up on us because we've perhaps not done anything new or anything different, because we are going to be doing new and different things this coming year. Just give us a chance. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you, if we don't see you on Saturday morning, we'll see you definitely next Thursday morning, same time, same place. In the meantime, please, all of you, I'd like to say thank you to Grey Eagle. I'd like to say thank you to Chris. I'd like to again say thank you, all of you. Please have a very, very blessed rest of the day, everybody. And please have a very blessed rest of the week. Bye-bye.